doing? I'm Shawn DeBourbon. I'm back at the house TC for store 200 located in Baton Rouge. I've been TC now for going on 9 months. I'm certified in broil, point, fry, salad, and DMO.
Are you leaving too?
Excuse me, you talking to me or Jordan? Talking to me?
I thought you were leaving. I am. Something that makes me stand out from every other back of the house TC would be a book I created. I created this book not only for the help for me, but when I do decide to pass on the TC for the next person, I'm going to pass this book along with them. Now this book is a complete guide for the back of the house TC. Everything I put in here came off of TRH Family. It's a great resource not only for me to use, but anyone else. And to give you a little bit about this book, first, the very first page consists of the back of the house type food test, which every employee has to take. Now normally I'll go ahead and give them this test the same day I certify them in the test for their station. After that, you follow a bake, and it goes through every other station we carry, and we do at Texas Roadhouse. Basic principle of this book, it goes through the breakdown of every process, starting from day 1 all the way to day 5 or 6, depending on the station you're certified in. Now what I do is I give this to my trainer. The trainer reads over this, and they are read over with me. I explain to them what they need to know and what they need to teach the trainee for that day. After the whole process is over for that day, I will sit down with both the trainer and trainee, separate of course, and I will make sure they went over this, make sure they understood it and why they understood it. The whys are just as important as knowing the views. After they go through the whole agenda part, the next step, this is what the steps I do with the trainees. I go over their skill review, scale them out, and then the validation for that test, making sure they understand everything they're responsible for and what they have to do. Now this is the spec knowledge. This is great. Typically I use this for myself. I will go ahead and explain it to the trainees, depending on what they need to know. For a bake, for instance, it gives you a diagram of the actual bread, tells you the weight on it, tells you how long you got to cook the whole process. After you go ahead and spec knowledge, this is the actual key test. Now of course I have the key test and the actual test. And after you go ahead and go through all the different stations we carry, on the back part, yet again this is for my knowledge and for theirs to pass on. I have the shelf life on all the products we carry in-house. Everything down from the salads, as small as the actual chicken they use, all the way to something small like carrots or celery, dressings, everything we make in-house or order, I have the shelf life on. The final part of this book will be going over the whole champs process. Everything from the silver to the platinum. Hopefully one day I'd be able to reach this platinum. I schedule new hires. Well, the way I do it is after they've been confirmed that they're good to go by my kitchen manager, I already have a pre-printed out training schedule here, which I have certain stations. The main stations we do hire for. I don't have hot prep or cold prep because we typically don't hire for those stations. But once I get their name, I'll go ahead and put it under the station they're going to be tested out for. Of course, the dates they're going to be working. On these blank slots here, these are the dates and these are the time frames that they will be working. Go ahead and put 4 to close, 4 to volume, whatever the case is going to be. I will go ahead and print this out and I'll go ahead and give it to them at the end of the day so they have a copy not only for themselves, but I'll also keep a copy for myself and or my kitchen manager or marketing partner. So we're all on the same page and there's no confusion. So I like that one a little bit. I just think how do I recognize a new hire? Well, once we go ahead and get them in, we'll get their picture. We have a board we put their face up on. We get their name. We'll put it underneath it. That way, when anyone comes in, they can not only see their face, they know their name, and they can kind of put the two together. The bigger way also is when we have an alley rally. We'll all get together. They'll do the same thing. They'll introduce themselves, tell them or tell everyone else a little bit about themselves. And at the same time, not only do we all get to know a little bit about themselves, if we have something in common, we can also share it with them at this time. So how do we have fun in orientation? Well, what we like to do is play games. One of the games we have is called bingo. Basically, you got a normal sheet of paper, and on these you got a bunch of different slides. What they have to do is either get an X or play blackout and cover the whole board, whatever they're doing at that time. And what these boxes have, they have different themes in them, like who's right-handed or who's left-handed, who's older, who's the oldest, who's 25, who's the youngest, who's currently going to college, just a bunch of random stuff. And what this is doing is it's taking the new hires and it makes them go out, talk to everyone, both front and back of the house, get to know a little bit about themselves, and they sign off on it, they put their initials, and that's how they fill it in. And eventually, when they're done, they go ahead and bring it back to the front of the house manager or back of the house manager, whoever it is currently working, and they go ahead and get the prize for that day. But the most important part of this is to start getting people to feel comfortable with their new fellow coworkers. Some of the outings we had in 2012, the first outing I ever conducted, I went with bowling. The reason I went with bowling because it's something you can not only get the younger but older crowd into as well. It was kind of a in-between thing. What we did is we actually had 2 different teams competing against one another. Now we also had prizes during this outing. And the whole point of this was not only to help with our communication, to help with our teamwork skills as well. Now the things we talk about during these outings were, 1, the ESF scores, not only what we got, what we did bad on, what we can improve on as well, because improvement is always what I'm looking for. Other things we talked about was different issues not only I had or I saw, but the trainers saw themselves. Maybe broil trainer saw something that he wanted to improve on. Well, this was their time to go ahead and communicate, not only with me, the kitchen manager, the marketing partner, everyone. We all got to sit down and see their view on things. And that's really the key importance of this whole outing. Other outings we had, we went with a front of the house outing. It was kind of a combination with the front and the back. The reason of this was to go ahead and communicate with everyone. They kind of get to see who their trainers were, get a little more feedback on them. You get, to work on that communication process between the front and back of the house. Even though Expo is the middleman, it's very important that we actually communicate with the trainers in the front of the house and the back of the house so they both understand our problems. The final outing we had was just recently. It was for the Christmas time, therefore we do a Christmas type theme. And what we did is we all went to New Orleans and went to what's called Christmas in the Oaks. And what that is, it's basically where you get these 100-year-old oak trees, and the city goes ahead and decorates them. I mean, head to toe, decorates them with lights, theme. It's a really awesome thing just to go ahead and to really appreciate the city. You get to see the culture behind it. And yet again, what we did, we all came together for this. And the reason, yet again, is to go ahead and work on our communication skills on this, to kind of get a more insight on them, how are they improving, they can see how we're improving. We can also kind of talk to each other about, maybe we had some small issues we had during this last 3 months. But they all come together and they get to work with each other, and that's really what these outings are for.
My name is Caitlin Garge. I'm the managing partner of the Baton Rouge, Texas Roadhouse, and I think training is important to the Texas Roadhouse because it really teaches the new employees that come in here about our culture and our family and the true meaning of legendary food and legendary service. Each member, as they come in to our restaurant as a new employee, we invite them with open arms and treat them like family, and they become part of our culture and help build that within our restaurant, and you won't find that at any other restaurant.
My name is Marva. I'm a co-prep trainer. I've been with the company 7 years. As you see, I'm working now. Shawn, want to ask me some questions?
How do you communicate with the trainees on a day-to-day basis, and how do you let your management team know their progress and how much they're making?
Okay, well, most employees are trained in Spanish. So what we do, we get the English co-prep book and the Spanish co-prep book. I get them to read over the project that we're going to be training on, and I do the recipe first so they can see paint on, and then I have them to do it.
All right.
And if they having trouble with it, I'll talk to the manager, let the manager know that they need more training, more days of training in that project.
And this is something you communicate on a day-by-day basis?
Well, I don't train every day.
For the days you do train, you let them know that day?
Yes, every day we train at least 3 to 4 days out of that week.
Why do you feel it's important to let your management team know that on every day where their progress is?
Because eventually they're going to be doing it themselves. So we want them to have the recipe down pat.
My name's Josh. I've been working at Expo for about 7 months now. I'm a trainer. I've trained 2 people. And the feedback I get on training is good to me because it makes me feel better how I deal with my job, on training them, and how they come along with their job. And I like to hear the compliments and the roles I'm doing, the roles they're doing, so I can work with them and how I can work on my better standards.